Hey everyone, welcome to this new episode of the podcast. Today we're talking with Mark A. Spears, an illustrator who has created comics. He is of course worked with sketch cards. He has some absolutely stunning paintings that I really would hope to talk about. He's on Fine Art America. Welcome to the show, Mark. I can't wait to hear everything you have to say.
Hello. I was happy to be here.
Hi, Mark. Well, I thought today, as usual, we like to start with a bit of history. So,
Okay.
How did you first get into art? Were you always a very arty kid? Did you draw a lot?
Yeah, I remember when I was in first grade, about 6 years old, the teacher told my mom that during the test, like you're supposed to have a test at the end of the year, to show that you learned stuff and go to the next grade. And I was sitting there, instead of doing the test, I was drawing bunny rabbits. And they couldn't figure out why I was drawing bunny rabbits. No, but I like doodling, drawing. And then, of course, comic books, cartoons were huge, around that time in the 80s. But I always gravitated toward, art and comics, cartoons, drawing.
Particular favorite comic? Is there a comic you first saw and went, wow?
Well, Hulk. It was the TV show first. I love the TV show, and then I would see the cartoons and the comics of Hulk. It looked different, but I just loved the creatures and I remember watching Scooby-Doo, loved Scooby-Doo as a kid, and all the little monsters they had. But when they had Batman on, that was the first time I think I saw Batman at all. And seeing the Joker and the Penguin and Batman and Robin on Scooby-Doo, I just fell in love with it. But
I didn't even know they'd ever been on Scooby-Doo.
yes, it was. They did these Scooby-Doo like special movie things in the 80s where they would have Batman and Robin. They've had Don Knotts. They would have Dick Van Dyke, which at that time I had no idea who these people were. But it was just like a special, maybe 45-minute episode. It was like 2 episodes in one. I watch them now. They have them on Boomerang. I still watch them. I love those.
Did they unmask Batman and go, oh, it's Bruce Wayne?
No, he never was Bruce Wayne in the whole episode. It was always Batman. And they would, but they were acting like, yeah, Batman exists in our world and all this stuff. It was great.
That used to blow my mind was when I was a kid, when they would do crossovers and stuff like that, especially with the Muppet Show or
Oh, yes,
any of those things like that. It was a great way to get the people who were following each thing into whatever else it was. I blew my mind. I didn't know you could do that.
I love the Muppet Show, and they would have like Mark Hamill on as Luke Skywalker. That blew my mind.
Yeah.
That was great stuff.
Muppet Show, brilliant. So did you go on after school to study something arty afterwards, or?
No, it was weird in high school. So I took art, but where I'm from is a very small town, and they just didn't have much stuff. I mean, the art teacher could teach me a few things, pointillism and how to draw some fruit, shading and stuff like that. But after a while, she was like, "Hey, I don't know what else, I could teach you here, So then it was, I think I took art 2, art 3, but I was just doing my own thing. She'd say, hey, just do this project or something. And so I never really got instruction, but I did from books. I would get a lot of books. How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way was like a huge book.
I got that book. I have that book.
Let's see. So after high school, I thought about going to college to do some art, and I looked at a couple of scholarships for art and everything. But what I wanted to do was go into comic books. And at that time, I hadn't even heard, like, there's an Andy Kubert school or Joe Kubert of the Kubert Comic School or whatever. But that time I hadn't even heard of that. There were no like comic courses in college. And my sister had took art in college, and she was making like furniture, because that's what they would do as an assignment, make a grill a chair now. And so she would have to do that. And I was like, that's not what I want to do. I don't want to waste my time. So I decided I didn't go. I decided I would just do it on my own. And I submitted some stuff to Marvel in DC. And what I got back was, hey, Mark, we want you to study these books. It was the Hogarth anatomy book, dynamic anatomy. It was some more like anatomy stuff and drawing in general. So that's basically what I did, was just study books and learn from that.
That you got that kind of advice and feedback, though. Do you think that's something they do for everyone, or do you think they saw the potential in your work?
I don't know. I don't really think they saw potential in my stuff, because it was weird. This was before, the internet. Oh man, I wish, I was growing up now, it would have been so much better. So back then it was by mail, right? So you'd have to send in your stuff. And right around, I want to say like 95, 96, because I had graduated in the 93. So I'm trying to get into the comic books, and American Online, I don't know if you remember what the AOL was. You could get on there and chat with people. And I would find some comic creators on there and chat with them and show my stuff on there. And they would very rude and told me never to never send them anything else. I'll never work in comics. I don't want to say who they were.
You're kidding. My gosh.
Oh no. And then there was a guy, and I won't say his name either, but he was the editor for Green Lantern at that time. And I had sent him some stuff, and he had wrote back a letter saying, you'll never make it. I just don't want you ever sending me anything else. And,
Right.
Please stop. It's just, your stuff's horrible. So,
Can't believe it.
yeah, but he doesn't even work in comics now. I looked him up a couple of years ago after I won my Artist of the Year award.
Wow.
I was looking him up. I was going to say, hey,
Yeah.
but
My God.
but he doesn't even work in comics anymore. But so I would send my stuff in, because I had heard, I think it was Todd McFarlane had said at that time, harass them, send the stuff in every month and just make them notice you. So that's what I did. But it wasn't good advice, I guess, because they got mad that I was sending so much stuff in. Well, so around maybe 96, 97, I come home from work. I was working retail at Service Merchandise, and my dad said, hey, somebody called from Marvel. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going on? So I go look at the message, and it's the editor of Hulk. And I'm like, oh my God. And it's too late to call, but I went ahead and called anyways. And they said the offices are closed, call tomorrow and all this. And I'm just sitting there that night going, yeah, I've done it. I've finally have broken through, and I'm going to draw for Marvel Comics.
I bet you didn't sleep that night.
No, didn't. And I'm sitting there thinking, and of all the books, it's going to be Hulk. That's like one of my favorites, And I couldn't sleep that night. I just waited till it was around, 9 o'clock. So I figured that's about 10 o'clock in New York. I'll call. So I call, and for some reason it had put me to the Hulk editor, but it was actually another guy. I forget his name now. But he was like a submissions editor kind of guy. And he gets on the phone with me. He goes, yeah, Mark, I've been trying to get a hold of you. And I'm like, oh man, what's this going to be about? And then he goes, look, I just want to call you because you've been sending stuff in pretty regularly every month for like the last year. And I just want to tell you, look, Mark, he goes, how old are you? And I guess I was like 21, 22, something like that. And he goes, well, look, Mark, I know 16-year-olds better than you, and you're just not improving. So I'm just calling you to tell you, quit sending stuff in. You're not going to get the job. You're just not good enough. And I was like, well, what can I do to improve? Should I study this or that? And he goes, I don't know at this point. He goes, I just don't even know, if you can improve. He goes, you just got too much of a late start. He said, if they're better than you now at that age, you're just not going to catch up. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then he goes through this whole speech, about 10 minutes. I'm sitting there, I got tear running down my eye. And then he goes, but wait 3 months, send me something in, and let me see what it looks like then. And then I was like, okay, well, at least he said something back in 3 months. But I got off the phone, so heart's broken, realized I didn't get, the work that I thought I was going to get. And then I got gun shy. I didn't send anything in till 99 or 2000, somewhere around in there. And at that time, I didn't hear anything back from any of them. I don't know, why. I sent it around Christmas season, which was a bad time. But then something happened where eBay started taking off, and you could sell original artwork on eBay around 98, 99 or so. And I got contacted. Somebody saw my stuff on there. And it was a guy who did Big Bang comics for Image Comics, and saw something I did and said, hey, we would like to try you out on this to see if it would, be a good fit. And I said, okay. So I did some samples, and then I think that came out in 2002, but I did it about a year or two earlier. It just took that long for it to come out. And I got published by Image. So that was huge. I finally got that.
Finally, my God, I got to interject here and say, first of all, for anybody who listens, you are so inspiring. For anybody who keeps trying and keeps trying and keeps trying, you just got to keep trying yet again and yet again.
Yeah. I mean, that it motivates me to where when they tell me no, I'm like, okay, I'm going to show them. That's just, I can't stand that. Can't stand them saying, no, you can't. And then at that time, when I would tell people, I remember I went to this comic book store one time, and I'm like, yeah, I want to be a comic book artist. I've been trying to send my stuff in, and I got a call from Marvel that told me how bad I was. And they went, wait, you got a call from Marvel? Yeah, they were like, I've never heard of anybody getting a call from Marvel telling you how bad you are. And I went, well, maybe that's good. Maybe they thought enough of me to call me, to do that. So, but yeah. So after that, but then I still couldn't get, any work from Marvel or DC or anything. Again, I was actually gun shy. I wouldn't send anything to them. I was just like, I wanted to do it, but I thought I would do other things. So I did the comic for Image, and then let's see, started doing other things. I owned a comic book store at one time. Let's see, that was in my early 20s. And then I did some, let's see, around 2004, I started selling more stuff on eBay. I started doing that. But that you just couldn't make a living doing that. So I'd have to have, the comic book store doing other things. That was like a side thing. And I was just gun shy about sending any more samples off because I wanted to. I thought I was getting better, but I was like, I want to make sure I'm at a certain point where I know they can't turn me away. So I think it was 2006. And I had stuff on. There's a website called Comic Art Fans. It's kind of like DeviantArt, but it was just I think I had a few things up there. Well, I was checking my email one day. This was around 2005, 2006. And I was looking for something. So I went to my bulk folder in my Yahoo Mail, and I was looking for something. And all of a sudden I saw this message that said, hey, we're interested in your artwork stuff. So I clicked on it, and it was someone from, it was a company called Corgi. They made, they were the first people to make like the Hot Wheels car, the actual diecast car. Corgi's in, I believe they originated in England over there. Yeah.
You like the dog, Corgi?
Yeah, it's like the dog Corgi. And that's they had at that time had an American branch or whatever, and then they were doing. They had got the license to do some DC and Marvel stuff. And anyway, it was in my bulk folder, so I just by chance had checked that. It was going to go into my spam folder, is what it was. So I read it, and it was a week old, and I'm like, oh no, I bet they found somebody already. So I called them up on the phone. They had given me their number, and they was like, well, we just about went with someone else. So I'm glad you called. And I'm like, oh man. But they had the license to do these Marvel statues, and Marvel gave them a list of all these artists, and they looked through them and they just didn't like them. They didn't like, the layouts or whatever they wanted for the statues. but they had saw something I did on Comic Art Fans. They said, that's kind of what we want. So I was like, wow, that to get picked over all those Marvel guys. So I was like, finally, I'm getting noticed. So I did those. I had to fight to get my name on the box. I had to sit there. But my dad was sitting there telling me, he goes, hey, the name on the box saying this is by Mark Spears is worth more than the money that they can give you, the extra money. So, royalties or something. So what I did for, to get rid of, I didn't have any royalties or anything. I got paid pretty good, but but it said on there like designed by or created by Mark Spears on the box. And I was like, this is great.
Oh, that's cool. That's really
cool. So that was a good move.
A little bit of a boil down here. Keep posting your stuff everywhere, because you never know who's going to find something that they like, they think might fit the project. And don't give up, even though the internet is not new anymore and there's a bajillion people on it. Post your stuff everywhere, and be nice. Don't be upset publicly when people refuse you.
Oh yeah, you don't want to burn bridges and be like, I'll never work for you or anything. So but then from that I did they had me become a Batman concept artist, where I was doing stuff for where I would design Batman in a certain pose and they would turn that into a figurine, let's see, like Batmobiles. I did a little test for a Batmobile because they were producing a lot of those with the figures. But so I got to do lots of Batman and Batman related characters for a couple of years. Did the Marvel line of statues for a couple of years, and everything was going great. And then all of a sudden I get an email from the person that worked over me, and it was like, Mark, I just got an email today saying that they're closing the well, no, it was a merger. What happened? They merged Corgi's department with this place that at that time, I can't even remember what they're called, but they had done lightsabers. They were the first people to like make the lightsabers, the realistic props. I forget what they're called at that time. Something relics, I don't know. This was around 2008, but they merged with that company and we're getting rid of all the Marvel licenses, these DC licenses and stuff. It was just going to do Star Wars stuff, and then closing that branch. This was in Chicago, I think, is where they were located. So, and this, the person who was over me, this great lady, she had worked for Hasbro for many years and then had worked for Corgi, and then she was just going to retire after that, I think. So she moved on, and she gave me a lot of contacts at DC Direct and all these, saying, keep doing this stuff, Mark, you're great at it. But I was like, I don't know if I really want to keep doing. I liked it. It was neat. It was great money, but I was just like, no one ever really sees my stuff. They see the end result statue or figurine, but they don't really see the artwork. Though at that time, Toy Fair magazine, it was like that was out and Wizard was out. I think Toy Fair was published by the same people who did Wizard, but they had published a bunch of my concepts in there that I had done for Corgi. Like there was Daredevil, Electro was in there, Colossus, Venom, and all these things. So that was the first time my stuff had got printed in a magazine. I was just like tickled to death, bought a bunch of them.
After doing all this, why on earth did you ever get involved with sketch cards?
Well, okay, at that same time, right before I was still working at Corgi doing Batman stuff, when DC contacted me about doing the sketch cards. So this was around 2008. And so I had just done the sketch cards before Corgi closed up and merged. So I just had that come out. And I guess I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. I'm getting to do a lot of characters that I don't normally get to do. But I knew that there was no career in sketch cards, but I thought, well, this will get my name out there and then I'll move on to something else. So I did the DC Legacy set. And I did, I want to say 650 cards total in a 45-day span or so.
Oh my God.
How did you adjust to the smaller size? Did it come quite naturally to draw small, having done comics before and things like that? Or were you like...
Yeah, because it's like a panel. so that didn't really bother me. And inking, because I'd already inked and colored my work a lot, especially for when I would sell it like on eBay or something. But now working in the industry, like for concept art, they didn't want my markers or anything like that. They would be like, well, no, we want this rendered in, like digital colors. So that started me doing digital stuff back then. And it was so hard using a mouse to go around there and color things.
Yeah.
But I hate it. It took me so long, but that's how they wanted it. They didn't want it to look like it was done with markers. So, but doing it small and stuff wasn't that bad. I'd get the little micro pens. I was pretty used to it. But honestly, my hand would cramp so bad doing all those cards because I had to do so many in a day. And I didn't want them to look bad, but you could, if you look at them, you could see about 400 look great. But the other 250, when they gave them to me at the end, because I told them, I said, hey, these ain't gonna look as good. I just don't have the time to look up the references, to see like what color costume this is or whatever. So I'm gonna have to just like go with like face shots and stuff like this. And they were like, we don't care. We just got to have them. So a lot of them were like side shots of their faces or people that I knew, like Superman, Batman. I knew exactly what their costumes were. But, and then it was, let's see, I think on that set it was normal. But when I got to other sets where I could do Silver Surfer and Iceman on Marvel stuff, I started doing lots of Silver Surfer and Iceman, and anybody who had no real color, that I could get away with doing grays, because again, I was getting $5 a card, and the Copics, which I don't know how much they go now, but the Copics were around $8 at that time where I was getting them, and you could refill them, but it would take time because I would have to buy the refillable stuff, get it in, then refill it. And a lot of these times it was on deadlines. I never missed a deadline. So I always would try to get it done immediately. But I remember one time I was working for Rittenhouse, and it was something Marvel because I was drawing The Thing and I was drawing Spider-Man. And I saw a lot of the other artists on the set post their stuff on, I think it was Scoundrel forum thing. Yep. And I saw a lot of them would do funny things like cartoon kind of stuff, right? And I was like, well, I could do that, and that would save me so much time, right? So I did like 10 of those, and they look at them, Rittenhouse looks at them, no, Mark, that's not what we expect from you. We want this highly detailed, realistic style. We don't want these. And I got me mad because I'm like, okay, but you're letting other people do it. But, and they can do it. I mean, you can do that so much quicker if you draw a cartoon version of The Thing. Then if I draw The Thing and have to draw every little rock and all the detail and all that kind of stuff. Wow. But yeah, that kind of got me upset with them for a little while. But then I went on to, I remember the very first set I did though, the guy at Rittenhouse, because I didn't have much contact with Rittenhouse. I always talked to DC.
So what year was this you were working with Rittenhouse? About? Yeah,
when I first worked with DC for Legacy, for some reason they controlled everything, the pay, who I talked to. They are the ones who I had to send my stuff into to get it approved. Then I did the big cards where they wanted them painted and stuff like that. So they handled everything. I had like 4 contacts at DC to handle all my stuff. Never talked to Rittenhouse until I think it was a day after the set was released. Rittenhouse called me up and said, Mark, we're very happy, with how the set turned out. We're going to be doing a Marvel set soon. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that would be interesting. And he said, yeah, your stuff, the set just got released, and your Joker card is up to $400 on eBay right now. I just sold it for $400. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, that's neat, but I got $5 for that Joker card, and this guy got $400, And again, the pay scale was so different. Let's just say, I mean, this has been years ago, so I guess I can say now, when I would draw Batman for Corgi, like a concept, I was getting $1,000 per picture. And this was no background. This was just drawing Batman, right? I might have to, I think it was a little bit more to have them turn. So, you got Batman. Then they'd say, okay, now we need a turnaround. We need the back, the right side, and the left side. Well, I would get paid per image. Same thing for Marvel stuff. So you got to think, going from that to getting $5 a card, it was just drastically different. And I was like, I can't make a living out of this, but it'll be fun. I'll get new fans, because at that time I probably had no fans. So I thought, get my name out there and stuff. But
so doing all of this for that amount, because I know you're not doing it now. You don't work in sketch cards now. I think you mentioned you did it till about 2015, I think.
I want to say my last one was 15.
Do you really feel that it was worth your time to spend time with sketch cards, or?
No, I guess I would say it was a waste of time, actually, because here's the thing.
A waste of time, really?
I would say it helped me in drawing, but but I don't even, I'm totally digital now. I don't do any kind of, I'll pick up a pencil and sketch, because I got an idea, and then I'll turn it digital. But no, because it did give me a lot of, it's hard to say, it got me a lot of experience drawing very fast. Now I'm still very fast. I'm like considered one of the fastest artists out there, but I don't know. Okay. Because at that same time, okay, I'm doing that. I'm also selling stuff on eBay, selling my own sketch cards, right? Which I don't know if you're supposed to do that anymore. I don't do it. So, but anyways, I was drawing my own, like if I drew Spider-Man or whatever and sold it on eBay, I'd get $40-50. If I draw it for them, I get $5. Now you might say, well, it's because you're known. No, I was getting that. I was getting that much, like for pictures and stuff, or a lot more than that, way before I ever did sketch cards. So it was just because I think people liked the way I drew that stuff. All right. It wasn't, and I had fans that would buy the stuff and they didn't collect sketch cards. I had like a list of guys I knew that would buy my stuff if I put it on eBay. Because they were just collectors, but they didn't even mess with trading cards or anything. So I don't know. It was interesting because I got to draw these characters and they were licensed, and that was fun. But I don't know. In the end, nothing came of that. It would be different if Marvel or DC contacted me and said, hey, we really love this over here, and we would like you to, do that. Never got a call from them about doing anything else extra. I had, at that time when I was working for DC doing those sketch cards, I said, hey, I wouldn't mind doing some covers and all this stuff, or doing some comics for you. And they said, oh, we'll think about that. And they never, there's so many people trying to do comics when you only got so many comics. I was told this when I was a teenager. They said it's to become a comic artist is almost like getting your own network show, like being an actor on a network show. There's only so many shows. Yeah. This was before, streaming and cable. And there's only so many books. So if Marvel and DC had like 20 or 30 books, each, they only have so many artists. And those artists they don't replace them every month. Somebody stays on a book for years. So
I've seen you've put on your Facebook page in particular, perhaps you have it elsewhere too, I'm not sure, but you have some gorgeous pieces that are, I think, horror related, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. They are absolutely stunning. I highly suggest everybody who's watching or listening to go find Mark's work. It's really, really something. Do you work? What was those for? Those were probably not for a trading card set, I would imagine.
No, when I worked for Corgi, they were saying that their Marvel license and DC stuff would eventually end. They would have to decide to get it again, right? So they were like, hey, Mark, do you have any ideas of statues that we could do and figures and stuff for cars and stuff like that we wouldn't have to pay for, right? Because that's a huge thing, licensing, right? So I came up with this pitch because they wanted me to do some like Robin Hood, King Arthur sketches, right? Like, what would that look like? And I said, no one will buy these. I said, I did it. And I said, these look good, but no one will buy them because they don't really want those. I said, here's what you got to do. And I came up with these monsters. And it was werewolf, mummy, Frankenstein, Dracula. And they looked at them, they went, these are great. But they said, but Universal owns those. And I was like, no, that's just Universal owns their versions of those. But the monsters are public domain. I mean, that's the Dracula from the book, Frankenstein from the book, and that's just a werewolf, and that's just a mummy. And they fought me a little bit on that for a few weeks, saying, I don't know, we'll have to get legal to look at this. Then they said, okay, that sounds pretty good. That's, we might try to go with that. And then that's when they, a couple months later, they had collapsed, merged with, I think it was Master Relics. I can't remember what they were called. But so that I had sitting there on the back burner thinking, there's these monsters that I could do eventually. And around 13, I think I got to a point where I was trying to get better at doing digital stuff because I knew that that's when you do other work, when I would do stuff for like base cards for Upper Deck and stuff, everybody wants digital. That's what they would tell me because they were like, it just looks better when you're printing it, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, I don't know how to do digital. So I'd start out using the mouse. Then I got one of those tablets where I'm sitting far away and I'm doing it here and it's showing there. And I hated it, but it is, getting used to it. And then, let's see, I around 13 or so, I thought I got good enough to where I could try to do portraits of the monsters. And I did like a Dracula and a Frankenstein and a Bride of Frankenstein and stuff. And then I thought they were decent enough. I mean, they weren't, I look at them now, they're horrible, but I thought they were decent enough to get me some work. So I contacted some magazine companies that do the horror magazines and tried to get a job doing their covers. And one of them, the Monsters of Filmland wrote, which is the one I really wanted. That's the famous Monsters of Filmland was like a huge magazine when I was growing up. They would always have these go-go covers. Those Basil Go-Go's was like the guy who would paint with all these colors on these monsters. And I tried to get them, and he wrote back and he said, is this traditional or digital? And I said, it's digital. Never heard from him again. Some people hate digital though. Yeah. I don't know why. If you had to ask though, then why do you care? You know what I'm saying? Like, does it matter? If you had to ask, it looks good enough to.
Well, that's what
I did get a magazine.
Actually do digital, isn't it? That's what shows you can actually work in digital if you can't tell that it is digital.
Right. On Instagram account, I get a lot of people that will write me and say, is this digital or is this 2D or traditional? Is this a painting? And I'll tell them, I'm not trying to hide it. But then I do have some people that were like, oh, and they're just upset, and I'm like, I don't, not cheating. It's, I'm still drawing. It's just, I don't know. Some people just have I saw this one guy's video. He tagged me in it on Instagram where he's going through all these artists. I guess he just saw them in his feed and he recorded it, but he tagged me in this. So I'm like, why am I tagged in this? And I see him going through critiquing people's stuff, right? And then he gets to mine. He goes, oh, that's pretty. I like this. Oh, wait. And then there's a video showing me doing some of it. And he sees that and he goes, digital. No offense, Mark Spears, but I hate digital. And
what a waste of time.
Didn't he work when he first saw it, did he? Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. I can understand if you didn't like the look of it, right? Like CG effects versus practical effects. I can tell. I don't like CG, that stuff as much. But if you like art and if it's digital or traditional, it doesn't matter if you like it. That's just like I don't know.
That's a very strong point. If you like it, if you're a collector or a buyer or whatever, if you like it, well, then it means something to you, and that's all.
Exactly.
What is? May I ask? The table that's beside you is there something we can see on that table?
Is that a tablet, drawing tablet?
Yeah, this is my Wacom tablet.
Oh,
Ooh. Oh my God, I love what you're working on there. Oh, that is
Yeah,
so
I did this one the other day. This is the lurker, I call it.
Ooh, I
Um,
love your colors. I
I,
love
I
your colors.
honestly thought when I looked up your work, I honestly thought it was painted.
Yeah.
I didn't
a lot
think
of
it.
people think it is, and one major reason is because I have a layer that I draw on that's like a canvas because I love the grooves that a canvas gives you. I
Yeah.
like the
Texture.
imperfection.
The texture.
Yeah,
The texture, and it'll give you highs and lows, and it'll make like your whites really pop over it, because I like traditional paintings. Of course, I don't know how those guys, how do they scan all those things in when they work them, so big, and they have to scan that in and do all this stuff.
I think
Working
they
digitally,
photograph.
I'm so much faster though because of layers, mistakes. I can fly through something versus if I did it traditional, it would take me so much longer to do.
have you
That
ever been tandem working on two different things, one traditional, one digital, and then you swap back to your traditional, and you go to your sketch pad and you try and look for the erase button, drop down menu on your sketch pad, and you're like, oh, erase.
Yeah, I got to where, because I was doing so many sketch cards, I got to where that's one thing I guess it gave me my sketch card years was I got to where I just didn't even have an eraser anymore. I was like, I'm not going to erase. I'll just now I would try to erase when I would go over ink because I would do it. I didn't paint a lot of these. I would just pencil, ink, and color. I would pencil it, then I would ink it, then I would erase it, then I would because if I didn't, it would really hurt my markers. But with the pencil. But I got to where I just either didn't make mistakes or I would incorporate the mistake. If it was that bad, I would just say, I'm going to go with it.
Well, you see, I think that's a really valuable lesson to have taken from something from sketch cards. You're utterly forced to just adapt, you become a boy
Yeah.
and you have to adapt to everything and you just learn to deal with things, which is a huge lesson. Before I started in sketch cards, I had a real challenge with finishing what I'd start. That's gone now. That's not
Well,
a problem I have anymore.
I mean, there were times when I was doing sketch cards, and that was, gosh, I guess from around 8 to 13. So we're talking about a 5 year, 6 years, somewhere around there, where I was just doing sketch cards and eBay stuff. I didn't have any other projects going on, and it was like I don't know if I'd recommend it, but when that's all you've got to survive on, you will do that work. I mean, I was doing as many as I could. At that time, I was doing the APs and selling those, at the beginning of my sketch card run, and then I would do the eBay stuff, and I was selling that. And what sold, what did and I would analyze it. What did I do on this one that made people want to buy this so much more over this? But I also hated doing that at that time, because you're like, I never want to be in that position again where I'm like, okay, got to eat, got responsibilities. I've got to do all these cards or I got to do these pinups
Yeah,
and I hated that.
and I understand that feeling. Yeah.
So, but when I designed those monsters in 13 and started doing those, I got Diabolic cover. I did. It was a horror magazine. They were only being published like every 2 months or so. I did a couple of those, and then let's see. From that, then they actually closed up because print is really hard to do right now. You have to have a huge audience, or they quit doing them. But that was neat to be able to walk into Barnes and Noble and go, there's my cover. I really like that. So then I got to where I started doing let's see, I started doing prints of my stuff. So like right now you can go on Amazon and you can see all the prints of my monsters and stuff like that. And those have taken off over the years to where I got a huge audience for that. So that I wanted to be able to draw something and be able to make money on that for years to come, right? Because the old way was, sketch cards or eBay and stuff like that, or commissions. I used to do a lot of commissions. Don't do commissions anymore. I'm so happy. I haven't done a commission in probably 2016. So I don't do commissions anymore because, man, I would get people to go, I need the ankle at a certain angle. You got to change the ankle. Don't like the ankle. And I can't stand working with people who are so nitpicky on little things, So, but I got to where a point.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I wanted the guy dictate to me how many leaves he wanted on a branch.
See, I just can't.
I just said, I'm not doing this. You can have your money back. I'm not doing it.
Good for you.
It's weird, but even with non-commissioned, I was working with a project the other day with, I won't say who it is or anything, but I was doing this picture and the guy goes, oh, but by the way, Mark, before you finish it, I don't really like colors like that, like colorful colors. And I'm like, man, that's kind of what I'm known for, is I'm very colorful on my stuff. And I'm like, okay. So I think if you hire somebody and they have a style, let them run with it. Go with it. You can have an idea and go say, hey, this is the idea we want. We want this and this. But when you are very nitpicky, then it's like, I don't, that's why I couldn't stand doing commissions for a lot of people.
So
does it come to be that, sorry, Ingrid, go on.
No, please go ahead. Go ahead. The internet's working for you now, so go ahead.
That you could stop doing commissions and sketch cards. Where did you go when you decided to knock that on the head?
Well, right, with the print started doing really well. I started also doing sports stuff. I was able to do things that I didn't have to worry. I didn't want to have to worry about licenses and all that stuff anymore and all that, because I wanted to be able to, again, sell something many times or get more use out of one image than just draw something for somebody, I never see it again. Mm-hmm. So I did sports stuff that I could do, monster stuff that I own, and all those would be in prints. Then, but then again, I was doing okay, but it was just like, nothing had blown up yet. I was getting by, and I was doing other work too at that time. And then I remember in 20, right before COVID hit, I had leaned over to my wife and I said, I think I'm done. And she's like, done with what? And I said, I think I'm just done with the art career. I think I'm going to move on. And because it was stagnant, nothing was going on much. I was selling a few prints, I had an Amazon shop and all that, but nothing had really went, blown up or anything. And she's like, I just don't know if you want to do that. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to do something else. So I started thinking about like, what else do I want to do, to make money and all these things. And then COVID hit, which is, weird that all that happened. But when COVID hit, I was like, okay, I got a little bit extra time then. Maybe I should give, drawing one more chance. And that's when I started. I said, okay, I think I can, because I hadn't drawn anything like a print wise, I think, besides a football print or something in like a year or two. I was just like not interested in doing it. And then I said, okay, I'm going to do my monster stuff one more time. So I started doing monsters, started showing them on Facebook and showing them on Instagram. I think at that time I would put some on Instagram, I would get like 5 likes, and I had probably 100 or 200 followers. And I started doing that stuff, but people started getting a lot of feedback. Man, this is far superior than your other stuff. It's getting a lot better. It looks really good. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm just gun shy. Maybe I should put it out there more. So I started doing the prints, getting more prints out there, and people started buying those. And then I started doing, started putting stuff on Instagram. Then I had an idea around October of that year, because everything's starting to look pretty good. I'm getting a lot of feedback, and I'm building a little bit of momentum. People are like, man, I love this. I love this. And I think it was around October, I decided, you know what? I could put these on trading cards and make it like a retro trading card from the 80s. Because I used to love trading cards. And then the sketch card thing came in and, kind of just changed it all. But I used to love the old sketch cards. I love the old cards with bubble gum, and I like the old top stickers where they were die cut and all that stuff. So I was like, I could put them on cards, but it would cost a lot of money. But what if I did a Kickstarter and I already have all this art? So I did a Kickstarter and never had done one before. Started a Kickstarter, and I think I had said I wanted like 13,000, something like that. Because I had asked the people, I'd researched, and they said, well, that's how much it's going to cost Mark to do. They actually told me like 20 something thousand, but I was like, I could put up some of my own money, but if I could get 13, I could do it. Well, I started that out, and in a week or two, I get much feedback from the Kickstarter people saying, this is outrageously expensive. And why are you doing this? We don't want these kind of cards. We want this kind of cards. And I'm like, I don't know what you want. They were like, why are you offering this? You shouldn't offer that. And where's your complete sets? And blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I think I messed up. So I canceled the Kickstarter. Then I spent a week figuring it all out again, getting a new quote from the printers. And then I say, okay, now I just want $5,000. And I'm just going to put up the other money myself, and I'm doing it the way I want to do it. And then that one ended, I think, at 14,000. So it gave me enough money to do it and everything. And it was huge. It was right when it came out. A lot of people got it. Besides, I sold them on Amazon, sold them on Walmart. A lot of people bought them like just for me off of Instagram and stuff. And a lot of people, famous people, would get them. If you've watched the Suicide Squad, the Polka Dot Man, he got some. I don't know if you've seen that movie. Anyways, he's I forget his name, David's something. I forget his last name now, but he had got some and gave them to other people and stuff. And then there's a lot of special effects guys that have won awards and stuff. They started getting them, and so a lot of different people was spreading it around like, hey, these are really good. I think I'm almost sold out. That came out last year, and I think I'm in 2020. Wait, it came out in 2021. I can't even remember now. I think they're out about a year, and the red boxes have sold out, and I think on purple I only got like 10 left, and then I got a few blaster boxes and stuff. But then right after that, I'd won the Horror Artist of the Year award in 21. So that was a Rondo thing. That's like what all those horror people go after. And that was really cool, because that meant like, hey, what I'm doing, people are liking. And then from there, I started doing more stuff. So now it's just gotten to where.
So what you're doing now is you're focusing on your own work and the Kickstarters. And is that what you see for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, I basically got my own business for the trading cards, and I want to keep continuing that because I got so many fans who want that. They're like, Mark, we gotta have these. So I plan to do 1 or 2 trading card sets next year. I got one coming out next month, and I'll probably continue to Kickstarters for them just for pre-orders. That way I just know how many I need to get in a print run. Yeah. Because I never want to reprint them. This latest one's coming out next month. I even have them all numbered. Like, you will know when you get a card, it'll say this many out of, this is like 27 out of 100. So I wanted them more collectible like that.
How many sets do you produce of each? Like how many sets within each set do you produce?
I don't know. I don't do it like the other guys like Parks and them. I actually do them like retail. So they're in a box. So here's a blaster box. So here's a blaster box.
Okay.
Right. So this will have what did this have? 8 packs in it.
8 packs in it, but
8 packs inside. So you would get a pack, which you don't have a pack, but here's a pack of the Chrome cards. These are sold out. I think this is the last pack that exists now. They would be packs inside, and you would it's random, what you're going to get. So I saw a lot of guys do the sets, like you're saying. Like I think the Tony does like Tony Perna, don't he do like it's a set? You're buying everything in that and you get some sketch cards too and stuff, or
But like, do you have like X amount of boxes to sell? For instance, I don't know, 50
yeah, to
1,000?
get printed like this one, we had about 1,000 boxes of not of these, of the big boxes, like that was her. But so the box, this is be a hobby box. So this is the red. This is the one sold out, and my dog went and hurt the. I was saving this one. So this would have 20 packs inside. But now for this one, a lot of people were saying, but I want a complete set. So what I did on the first series was have a thing where you could get a complete set, a base set inside every box of a hobby box. So that was kind of neat. But then I had a lot of people go, man, I don't like that. I want to collect them. So if I buy 2 of these, I'm getting the same cards.
Oh, you can't, you can never please everyone. That
you can't. So this last set, I was like, I'm doing it my own way. And I didn't have one person say, I don't like this or that. And I was like, that's what I got to do. You can't, if you're wishy-washy and like, I don't know, should I do it this way or that way? So I do have a set that's coming out.
I so wanted to hear all this, but my connection keeps going. I'm going to have to go back and watch this episode to see.
It's worth it, Lindsay. It's lots of cool stuff.
But it's all stuff I want to know, and I want to ask questions. I've missed it all because my connection keeps dying. But sorry, carry on.
Okay. But yeah, so basically I got a trading card business going on. I'm also doing, which now I'm in a position where I can take on projects not for money anymore, or not for the money of how much it would be. So I'm trying to get into doing some comic book covers. I'm going to be doing something like that. I can't say who yet, but that'll be late this year, early next year. And then I got a Vampirella cover coming out. That'll be out in October, I think. And then I've got Red Sonja, I think. I've already done it. I don't know if that got approved yet, but that would be out this year. Also, I did one other kind of big thing, the Spirit Halloween movie that's got Christopher Lloyd in it. That's coming out in October, and I did the poster for that. So also I did some. What happened was, what was weird is the director, or actually it was one of the producers or something, had contacted me about putting the cards in the movie when the cards came out last year. And I was like, okay, so I sent them a couple of boxes of cards, some prints, all this stuff. And then somebody was making a mask of my Frankenstein at that time too. So we sent him that. And he says, yeah, in the kids' room, because it's kind of like a movie like Goonies and Goosebumps and all that, but scary version. It's hard to say, but it's kind of like an 80s movie to me, what I've seen of it. And but in the kids' room, he collects like horror stuff, and he has my cards. He's got one of my Frankenstein pictures on the wall and all that. So I was thrilled that was happening. Well, then I start talking to the director, and I was like, hey, I just want to make sure before I tell people that this is in that movie. Did you cut it? Because they cut things all the time. He goes, oh, absolutely not, Mark. It's in the movie. We loved it. Well, thank you so much. Because that's the first time I talked to the director. And then he was like, hey, are you interested in doing the poster? And I'm like, yeah, I would love to. So I did the poster. There's 2 different versions. The teaser's out right now. The full poster they haven't released. They'll release sometime in September.
You got to give me the links to everything, and I'll put them in the description box below.
Oh, okay. And then there's I did these other things, these cards. Okay, so basically because my cards are in the movie, they were like, hey, how about we take the monsters that are in the movie and you do them in your style, and that's how we'll release to the public that these monsters are in the movie. Like they'll put them on social media.
Genius. Cool.
So I did those. I did 4 total. They put them out on Instagram. I think they put them on Facebook. And they went over really well. which also got my name out there, to Screen Rant and comicbook.com and all that kind of stuff. So that was great. So yeah, that was awesome. And then hopefully this will end up having a sequel. And if it does,
you'll be in the movie.
I'll try. Because I love that the director, David, he's awesome. And he loves my work, and I can't wait to go to the premiere. I get to go do that. And
wow.
So that was the thrill. I would like to do more movie poster stuff with movies. And then again, like the comics, I like comics. They've changed a lot over the years, but there's some comics I like. So I wouldn't mind doing a few things with those. But my own stuff, I want to do a comic book eventually of my monsters in my painted style, digital style, a whole book of it.
That would look awesome.
Fabulous. Where can people find you? We're going to have to slowly close this out. Where can people find you to find all this cool stuff?
Okay. On Instagram, it's Mark Spears Art.
Okay.
And again, I started there, like I told you, like in 20 with like a couple hundred people. I think the other day I got 25,000 followers now.
Ooh.
So my stuff's blown up, which I'm just very tickled.
Oh, you deserve it, man. You really.
On Facebook, I got a few on Facebook. So it's of course my regular accounts. What is it? Mark A. Spears, I think.
I think it's Mark A. Spears, yeah.
And then I have Mark Spears Monsters is on Facebook. And I think there's Mark Spears Art on Facebook too. It's hard for me to keep track of all three of them, but I try to post some stuff over there. I post the majority of my stuff on Instagram because I have a lot of followers there that want to see it. And then I think there's still stuff over there, DeviantArt and stuff. I just don't really have the time to post a lot of that stuff. I need to get somebody who will just go and post all my stuff out there.
Well, you're big enough to have an assistant now. That's
I know. That's what I need to do. Be fun.
Lindsey, do you have anything you would like to ask before we close this out?
Still everything, because I didn't hear anything. Honestly, I was, you should have seen me. I was sat here just like this. No, I'm going to watch the episode intently and to see everything that you said, because it seems like you've gone the direction that I'd really like to go in, in producing your own cards and, not working for other people anymore. And
well, the best advice I can give anybody, especially if you want to leave sketch cards, is this was told to me. Another thing that happened, nothing's happened with it yet, but Nacelle, the people that did the toys that made us and the movies that made us on Netflix, they have I did a shopping agreement with them of when my card series came out of all my original characters. So, to develop into toys or, shows and all that kind of stuff. But nothing has happened with it, but it was still good to do that so far. But they were telling me, do your original stuff, do your own thing, because that's because if you create characters for something else or do something great for another company, you're just helping them out. You're not helping yourself. So if you can do it and it's your own stuff, your own company, your own creation, then you're doing something for yourself. So Mark, that's what I would suggest.
I would really, I think we both would like it if you could really come back, perhaps in October or something, when you have some of your stuff coming out, and you can maybe let us know how it's all going and promote some more work and all of that. This has been a huge pleasure to listen to you and to listen to your story. I'm so glad you're getting somewhere with all this after hearing all the work you had to go through.
Yeah, a lot of setbacks, but it was worth it in the end. So.
I love your attitude as well. Just carry on, keep going.
Keep going. Yep, absolutely. You're inspiring and
quite sensitive when you were young, can't you? And you have all these people saying stuff like that to you. It could destroy a person.
Oh,
yeah, it's rough, but
you managed to get through it, and now you can laugh at them all.
Oh yeah. Now it's, I look those people up too. I don't forget about them. I look them up. A lot of times they're not working in the industry no more. So it's like, I win.
Yeah. Good on you, Mark. Good on you. So I'll be in contact with you or contact one of us, and can't wait to. And I'm going to be asking you for more details after we turn this off because I want everyone to be able to find you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye.